Real Madrid plan giant, official offer, for world-class Tottenham star after PSG demolition, report. Real Madrid are planning to make a bid for Tottenham Hotspur central defender Cristian Romero in the coming weeks after the dire performance against Paris Saint-Germain, according to a report. Atletico Madrid's stance on the defender is revealed. After a disappointing 2024-25 campaign in which Madrid could not win LaLiga or the Champions League, Los Blancos have been very active in the summer transfer window, as they embark on a new era under new manager Xabi Alonso. While centre-back Dean Howison has joined Madrid from Bournemouth, right-back Trent Alexander-Arnold has made the switch from Liverpool. Franco Mastantuono is also on his way to the Santiago Bernabeu, with a deal having been agreed with River Plate for the Argentine midfielder to team up with Alonso's squad in August when he turns 18. While things had been looking rosy for a while under Alonso at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, Madrid's 4-0 hammering at the hands of European champions Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-finals has forced the manager and president Florentino Perez to look at signing a new central defender in the summer transfer window. Team Talk's transfer correspondent, Fraser Fletcher, reported back on March 28 that Madrid have Romero on their list of targets for the summer. Fitchages has now claimed that Madrid are planning to make a formal bid for the centre-back, who was designated as world-class, and a top-class player with the ball and without the ball when defending, by his Tottenham teammate Mickey van de Ven on Optus Sport in March 2024. Madrid are not happy with Raúl Asensio and Antonio Rudiger, and believe that Romero meets the requirements that they are looking for to lead their new defensive line. Los Blancos are planning formal talks for the Argentina international centre-back and are willing to pay €80 million, £69 million, $93.4 million, for the 27-year-old, who won the World Cup in 2022 and the Copa America in 2021 and 2024. The report in the Spanish news outlet has added that Tottenham, who will play in the Champions League next season after winning the Europa League in the 2024-25 campaign, haven't ruled out receiving an official offer in the coming weeks. Romero has been superb for Tottenham over the years and is under contract at the North London club until the summer of 2027. Atletico Madrid have given up on Cristian Romero. Real Madrid are not the only club from Madrid that are keen on Romero, with city rivals Atletico having long been credited with interest in the defender. However, Madrid will be encouraged to know that Atletico have given up on the prospect of bringing Romero to the Metropolitano Stadium. According to us, Atletico made a formal approach for Romero, but Tottenham flatly turned it down. While Atletico have been willing to pay €55 million, £47.5 meters, $64 million for the defender, Spurs made it clear that they will not enter into negotiations for the Argentines. Atletico have already moved on, identifying Feyenoord's David Hanko, Bayer Leverkusen's Piero Hincapié, Murillo of Nottingham Forest and Bologna ace John Lucami as potential targets. This will encourage Madrid, but Tottenham's stance of not selling Romero will be a cause for concern. However, Los Blancos' planned bid for Romero is way more than Atletico, so that could help to sway Tottenham's mind. Latest Real Madrid news, players for sale. Liverpool Radar Spanish report has claimed that Madrid have decided to put 3 players up for sale following the demolition from PSG at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, including Brahim Diaz. A second source has claimed that Liverpool plan to make a bid for a Madrid superstar if they lose one of their best attacking players in the summer transfer window. Ibrahima Konate has responded to a bid from Atletico Madrid, who are hoping to beat Real Madrid to the signing of the Liverpool centre. El defender, Quiz, who has been Real Madrid's best signing from the Premier League in the past 10 years. 5 midfielders Xabi Alonso must target to fix Real Madrid mess. Stiller, Fernandez. Real Madrid will always strive to boast the best team in world football. But the scale of the task on Xabi Alonso's hands was laid bare in their Club World Cup semi-final defeat to PSG. The shocking 4-0 scoreline was representative of the gulf between the two teams. There were some encouraging signs earlier in the tournament for the new manager, but the mauling they suffered at the hands of the European champions was a reminder of the work they need to do, including in the transfer market. We've identified 5 players that Real Madrid ought to target this summer to give Alonso the best chance of making his project a success. Angelo Stiller. Florentino Perez was proactive and ambitious in building a future beyond their era-defining midfield trio of Casemiro, Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. Jude Bellingham, Federico Valverde, Aurelien Tchouameni and Eduardo Camavinga are all exceptionally talented footballers. The problem is that none of them are the kind of tempo-setting string puller that Kroos and Modric were at their best. Madrid didn't replace Kroos last year. They're yet to replace Modric this summer. As with the England national team so often over the years, Los Blancos are desperately lacking that kind of deep-lying playmaker that will give them total control. That area of the pitch was particularly exposed as they failed to get near PSG's world-class midfield trio in the baking New Jersey Sunch. Inner, Stuttgart number 6 Stiller isn't the most glamorous name on the market, but he fits the profile and would theoretically be attainable for an affordable fee. According to Marca, Kroos himself has personally given the seal of approval that the Germany international has what it takes to be his success. or at the Bernabeu. Unfortunately, the latest noises out of Madrid via goal suggest that they've withdrawn their interest in the midfielder. That could prove costly. One name mentioned as a potential Modric replacement in the Spanish papers is Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Palacios. The 26-year-old Argentina international wasn't always a mainstay under Alonso. He made more appearances off the bench than in the starting 11 in the Bundesliga last term, but he fits the billing of the kind of player Madrid ought to be targeting. Perhaps most crucially, he wouldn't cost the earth. A modest fee of just €20 million has been mooted. Enzo Fernandez. Madrid have already backed Alonso with over €100 million spent on Dean Howison, young Franco Marcantuono and Trent Alexander-Arnold, having stumped up a fee to release the right-back from Liverpool early. With a spaceship-esque megastadium to pay off, it doesn't appear as though Perez is prepared to sanction any Galactico signings on top of what's already been invested. But never say never. Earning €74 million in prize money from reaching the Club World Cup Final Four will no doubt help balance the books. It would take something extraordinary to prize Fernandez away from Chelsea, given the World Cup winner cost him a record £106 million. But he hasn't always been convincing at Stamford Bridge, and he'd arguably been better suited to LaLiga than the Premier League. The Argentinian continues to be linked with a move to the Bernabeu. When you look back at his Benfica stats, there's potentially a passing grandmaster waiting to be unlocked. In the right setup. How he fares against PSG in the upcoming Club World Cup final will be a solid litmus test of what he'd offer Madrid's midfield. Adam Wharton. Liverpool, Manchester City and Bayern Munich are among the clubs reportedly tracking Crystal Palace's rising star. You can add Real Madrid to that list, too. The La Liga giants reportedly sent scouts to watch the England international last season. The 21-year-old was hampered by injury niggles, but he shook him off to play a starring role in Palace's exceptional end to the 2024-25 campaign, culminating in their FA Cup final triumph over Manchester City. We'd be amazed if he isn't playing for an elite-level club in a year or two's time. Stanislav Lobotka. I'm not going back, and Real Madrid knows it. They're missing a player like me and are still searching, Kroos recently told La Gazzetta dello Sport. The problem is that there aren't many like me, and the ones out there are hard to sign. It's true, Madrid aren't getting Pedri out of Barcelona. They aren't getting Vitinha or Fabian Ruiz out of PSG. They missed the boat on the perfect fit, Martin Zubimendi, after Arsenal got there first. So Madrid will have to think creatively. Lobotka isn't exactly the same type of profile, and at the age of 30, he wouldn't be a long-term investment. But according to Fabrizio Romano, he has a release clause at just over €25 million. Having shone in 2 Scudetto victories over the past 3 seasons with Napoli, there's proven pedigree there. The Slovakian has been linked with Atletico, but beating their city rivals to his signature prove an inspired piece of business. His press resistance and ability to recycle possession are just what they're crying out for in midfield. Vinicius Jr. out, Sesko in. The 5 players Real Madrid must sign after Club World Cup humiliation. Champions League winners PSG pulverized Xabi Alonso's Los Blancos with a stunning 4-0 win in the Club World Cup semi-final. Real Madrid were thoroughly dominated from first minute to last, and only Thibaut Courtois' excellence and the searing New York heat slowed PSG's assault enough for the scoreline to remain respectable. This coming after a season in which Madrid won no major trophies and were dominated by Barcelona, losing 4 straight times to their arch-rivals with an aggregate score of 16-7. In fact, their 5-2 loss in the Spanish Super Cup final was reminiscent of their loss to PSG, only that day a red card to Wo. Jacek Szczęsny was their savior. It was clear before the tournament, but is abundantly so now. Real Madrid need reinforcements. The squad as currently built is not able to play the kind of football Xabi Alonso wants them to, and so more signings must arrive to enable those changes. Madrid have already spent €117 million signing Dean Howison, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Franco Marcantuono, but more signings are still needed. Who are those signings? Centre-back, Piero Hincapié. Real Madrid's defense was absolutely embarrassing against PSG. Antonio Rudiger is a player of immense stature and reputation, but he looks physically broken after holding the Madrid defense together almost single-handedly these last 2 years. Raúl Asensio is absolutely terrible. He's fast and can make last-ditch tackles, that's honestly it. Neither he nor Rudiger could handle the PSG press, and it was embarrassing how easily they were robbed. Eder Militao is decent, but his ligaments cannot be trusted. Same with David Alaba. And while there are actually talented young centre-backs coming out of La Fabrica, they're not ready for the first team yet. Dean Howison and Aurelien Tchouameni are out there by themselves. They need help. That is why Madrid must once again raid Bayer Leverkusen, this time for their Ecuadorian centre-back Piero Hincapié. The 23-year-old left-footed defender is a perfect fit with Xabi Alonso's system, having played it for 2 years in the Bundesliga. Hincapié is a modern centre-back who would not only help Madrid to actual defending, but he's quality on the ball and would help Los Blancos progress the ball with authority. He'd cost around €70 million, which is definitely a lot, but Madrid cannot afford to wait a year for Ibrahima Konate to come on a free. They need help now. Wing-back, Alvaro Carreras. Fran Garcia has had a good Club World Cup, but it was clear against PSG that the truly elite level of the game may ask questions he does not have the answer for. Carreras isn't that much more experienced than Garcia, truth be told, but he is also a La Fabrica graduate and he has more of a physical ruggedness to him. Moreover, he's actually put in good defensive displays against elite players, even Lamine Yamal. To prove he has what it takes. He'd cost around €50 million, but Alonso's system will not work without a dynamic wing-back who can handle himself defensively. That's not Fran Garcia, but it might be Alvaro Carreras. In 2023, Real Madrid spent €103 million to sign English midfielder Jude Bellingham, and he has been a sensational attacking engine. He scored 23 goals in his debut campaign and is a Steven Gerrard-esque force up and down the pitch. There's just one problem: he's not good in actual central midfield. When asked to play the role of an actual midfielder, Bellingham falls short. His game is the up and down, the vertical, which is great, but Xabi Alonso needs a midfielder who can also do the horizontal. Someone who is able to maintain possession, control the tempo of games and feed the attackers, like Bellingham, with robust through passes. He's been using Arda Güler in this role during the Club World Cup, but Arda Güler is a 10 who needs to play between the lines. How do you fit him into the same side as Bellingham playing Alonso's 3-4-1-2? Beats me. Luka Modric has just left the club and Dani Ceballos is the definition of mid. Once again, Madrid must go to the Bundesliga. This time to Stuttgart for Angelo Stiller, a midfielder so good he comes approved by Toni Kroos. Stiller isn't quite Kroos. For starters, he lacks the Guardiola and Van Gaal education that Kroos got before joining Madrid. But he is a quality midfielder who can be trusted to run the show in midfield. Stiller's progressive passing would be a godsend for the likes of Mbappe and Bellingham, not to mention finding Trent Alexander-Arnold in superb positions to cross. It may be a while before Madrid see midfielders like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos again, but Angelo Stiller would be a huge step in the right direction for Los Blancos. Gonzalo Garcia had a tremendous Club World Cup. The 21-year-old La Fabrica graduate scored 4 times in his 6 appearances out in the USA and really made a name for himself. But when the chips were down against a genuinely good opponent like PSG, even with Willian Pacho and Lucas Hernandez missing, Gonzalo Garcia was nowhere to be found. He will be an invaluable squad member for Los Blancos, for sure, but a starter. Someone to really get the best out of Kylian Mbappe. No, once again, Real Madrid must head back to the Bundesliga. Now we're in Leipzig and they're picking up Benjamin Sesko. The 22-year-old Slovenian is enormous at 6'5" and possesses a cannon of a shot and is also superb at attacking crosses. He's not an elite goalscorer. His highest ever season tally is 21 goals and his league high in a top division is 16 in the Austrian Bundesliga. But at Madrid, that's not so bad. If all things are working as they should, Kylian Mbappe will bag you over 40 goals, like he did in his debut season, and Jude Bellingham, playing as an attacking midfielder, is good for over 20. A striker who scores around 18 to 22 goals would do just fine for Los Blancos, provided he can do all the more classic striker things like draw defenders away from Mbappe, play wall passes back to Mbappe and make runs in behind too. Open up spaces for Mbappe. Basically Real Madrid need Olivier Giroud, but as Giroud is 38 years old, Sesko is the smart play. He has a sky-high ceiling if he can ever develop consistent finishing and is a terrifying physical mismatch versus pretty much any defense. Imagine Sesko attacking Trent's crosses. It'd be mayhem. Hugo Ekitike is another Bundesliga-based option for this role, and he's French too, so chemistry with Mbappe is assured. But he's less proven and older than Sesko, so would present more of a risk. And given the fees likely to be involved in signing either striker, the less risk involved for Real Madrid, the better. And how to fund all of these signings, given the total fee for all of them would surely approach €200 million. Real Madrid should sell Vinicius Jr. Signed as an 18-year-old, Madridistas have watched Vini grow from a wasteful prodigy into a genuine world-class winger. He's won La Liga 3 times and the Champions League twice, scoring in each final. By any measure, he has been a triumph. But the arrival of Mbappe has been a problem for Vini because the two men are at their best when they play in the same space. While they were able to freestyle it during Carlo Ancelotti's reign, Xabi Alonso's tactical demands are much more rigorous and only leave room for one megastar who doesn't do any defensive work. It's a 2-striker system and one of those strikers is going to be Mbappe and the other, as discussed, should be an actual striker like Ekitike or Sesko. Vini is too highly paid and well regarded to be a sub or a backup. And given his contract expires in 2 years, now is the right time to part ways and build around Mbappe and what Alonso needs. Where does Vini go? Well, it would have to be a club from the Saudi Pro League. Someone like Al Hilal or Al Nassr have tried to sign Vini in the past and could surely be tempted into making another bid now. A sale of over €100 million would be a massive boost to Real Madrid's financial state and would give them the clue they need to make the above signings and reshape the team in Xabi Alonso's image. Would it work? Who can say? But it's their only hope of hauling back the juggernauts of PSG and Barcelona, not to mention Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal. Real Madrid star to be ruled out for 3-4 months. Ahead of upcoming surgery, LaLiga giants Real Madrid will be forced to make do without the contributions of a leading member of their midfield ranks for the months ahead. This comes with Jude Bellingham finally set to undergo surgery on a long-standing shoulder problem. Bellingham, for his part, has long been playing whilst some way short of full fitness. This comes owing to a shoulder injury, which has seen the England international suffer a series of relapses over the course of the last 18 months. When taking to the pitch, Bellingham sports heavy padding on the shoulder in question, no doubt hampering his mobility to at least some degree. This comes owing to a shoulder injury, which has seen the England international suffer a series of relapses over the course of the last 18 months. When taking to the pitch, Bellingham sports heavy padding on the shoulder in question, no doubt hampering his mobility to at least some degree. The decision, in turn, had long been made for the 21-year-old to undergo a surgical procedure upon the conclusion of Real Madrid's campaign at the Club World Cup. And with as much having come about courtesy of a 4-0 drubbing at the hands of Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday night, Bellingham will therefore go under the knife imminently. Specialists consulted by The Athletic indicated Bellingham will likely be sidelined for around 12 weeks while he recovers from the operation and is expected to miss the start of the 2025-26 La Liga season. Real Madrid are clear that they need to sign at least one more central defender, and that was emphasized during the 4-0 defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in Wednesday's Club World Cup semi-final. And they have a clear target in mind to add to Xabi Alonso's squad, Ibrahima Konate.